They're all set. Yep, all done. Thank you.
Just give me a holler when you're ready, Owen.
All good.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's commence the Danvers Accessibility Commission meeting on April 24th. It is 6:01 p.m. So we are just starting. Welcome, everyone. This is my second official meeting as chair. So, we've got our agenda in front of us, not too much today. I don't know if it's going to end up taking the whole time, and Christy has to dip out a little bit early at the very end. But I figure we just get started, and do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, do we have a second? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Cool, we have motion passed. Do we have anyone from the public?
No. I do
Nope.
not believe. But you're asking the wrong person.
You're just closest to me, so I looked right at you. So I figure we kind of talk about the meeting minutes also. So I don't know if any of you got a chance to look at what I sent. Just as far as the minutes go, I've never actually looked back at the minutes. I don't know if any of you look back at the minutes or we use them, like how precise we want to be about them. But
Generally speaking, at least with the times that I've taken minutes or been part of that process, I try to align to the agenda, have highlights of like major points that are getting covered, any votes, who made the motion, who seconded, and how the vote happened, like what the vote was. and then, start and end times. So it doesn't have to be like everything everybody said, but kind of the gist of things. And if somebody says something specific, like makes a recommendation or calls for a vote, all of that is specific. So looking at the AI one, I thought it was really interesting to see summaries, kind of like an overview,
Yeah.
but it had a lot of errors. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I think that's just what we see with AI in general, that it can only do so much and then we need human eyes on it. And so we would just need to then, who would assign somebody to do that?
To essentially proofread it.
Right. Which may be challenging if you weren't actually taking notes, too.
Because what we could do also is, if we go that route, we could just have like our main points as notes that we really cover, and then that's really what you're responsible for as minutes, and then we just kind of proofread that, whoever's responsible for taking the minutes, which would really just be like if we did something big like votes, not necessarily what we're discussing or breaking down, because that's really in the meeting, just like kind of like the overview of that, and then we could kind of massage that into it if it's easier. It's really just about streamlining it, because I don't want it to become a burden for anybody. And I wasn't sure, because I don't personally ever refer back to them. I don't know if any of you do, so I wanted to know kind of how we value them and how important it is for us to be like really specific or whatever for, posterity.
So I apologize. I did not look at the minutes in detail. I did look back at them today, though, specifically for me, because I had been tasked with some things at our last meeting. Just based on my experience with other committees that I'm on, the part of the minutes that seems the most important to me is sort of if a vote is being taken that is, I guess the word that comes to mind is controversial. That's not necessarily what I mean, but something that people feel passionately about, and maybe we're weighing pros and cons. That's where I feel like maybe having more detail would be important, like you said, for posterity, or even just for us looking back if it's an issue we need to revisit. But other than that, I would think maybe the high points would be enough for most of the work for this commission.
Yeah, I mean, the votes definitely seem important for us to cover that. And then I guess like you were saying, like if we kind of like agree to do certain tasks, just to have that, those are kind of like our main ones. So I guess it would kind of, because obviously I'm not going to be able to take the minutes myself. So it would kind of be amongst any of you who would be doing it at any given time. So it's really kind of what are your thoughts on any of that?
I mean, I tend to take a lot of notes regardless, so if there's a way I can help, if we decide to use sort of the AI model, but you need to sort of verify and validate, I'll try to provide that.
Okay. And I can also feed your notes to it if that was something we wanted to do. I'm just putting out options here. I'm mostly introducing it because I wanted to feel like I could contribute, since I can't take the minutes myself. But if it doesn't seem like something we want to stick with, we don't have to use it at all.
Can I make a point?
Totally.
You're the chair. You don't have to take notes.
Yeah, okay.
You don't have to feel guilty for not taking notes.
All right.
You're running the meeting, and that needs a level of attention that you can't really take good minutes when you're running the meeting.
True, that's true.
So your job is then to kind of figure out how should we work together to come up with minutes.
Okay.
Do we want it to be a rotating responsibility, or are you looking perhaps for like someone, the same person, to volunteer to do it on a regular basis, whether it's something that becomes the minutes or is fed into AI?
I think we can decide that right now. Is there someone that likes to consistently do the minutes, or do we want to rotate so that to ease the responsibility? And we can kind of make points on that right now if any of you have any thoughts on that, or we can take a vote if we have something that we want to vote on, like yes, let's have this person be the minute taker from now on, or for this period of time. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Or
I just have lots of thoughts, so I'm just going to
Yeah.
keep talking. But please jump
go
in.
for
I don't
it.
want to. I'm not trying to hog the floor. So I took minutes not too long ago, and not knowing if it was sort of excessive amounts of detail or if it was the amount of detail we were looking for, I did feel like it was a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Not to take the notes because I'm here and it's not a big deal, but to then for me to type them in. So I guess my question would be, when you say feed them into AI, does it scan a handwritten document,
It could
or
do
that would
that.
probably lead to even more errors than?
Potentially, I think a handwritten document will probably be more accurate than it listening to a video where there's multiple people talking and there might be other noises.
Fair.
But I'm not 100% on that.
Okay.
I could do another experiment. We don't have to decide, and I could run another experiment as long as we're covered for minutes until the next meeting.
I mean, I'm thinking back to what Jasmine did. She always just had her laptop. I mean,
Right.
that's certainly something that
Yeah.
I mean I could do, but I don't know how those minutes were, and
I thought they were
I know the
great.
format that we had some issues with me getting them to you in a format that was usable, but I would imagine we could work that out. My
Yeah.
laptop is really old.
I thought
but-
your minutes were great.
Okay.
Yeah, and we could nail down like a kind of like a format template.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
that's a good
I
idea.
think
that
that
at
would be
least
really
kind of
helpful.
gives us a little more,
Yeah.
Structure.
structure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they,
Okay.
I mean, I think the thing that's helpful, and that just, this might just be my own kind of OCD, but to have sort of a consistent format, and so they look and feel the same meeting
Yeah,
to
much
meeting.
easier to reference back to
Yeah,
as well,
exactly.
so you know where to look.
Exactly. Like I know, one of the things that we are challenged even with, in my workplace is when we have like our meetings is that the action items don't always get well documented, and I think if we could sort of build that into a template so we know sort of what our action items are and who's responsible and by when, because I think that helps us sort of be accountable to each other too.
Totally. So this is something we could kind of build. Do you want to just discuss it further? We could nail down a format right now, and then at least have like a general overview, and then like we could create a template, and then vote on that or something.
Sure.
So okay, so I assume we probably like the initial skeleton would be our agenda, and that those would kind of serve as like the chapter markers essentially, and then we kind of fill in the details in there.
Yeah.
I usually
I like
do like bullet points
Yeah.
underneath
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
kind of item to summarize, what actions were taken.
Totally.
And I personally feel like having at the end of the document, the action items that need to be taken and who's responsible, kind of going at the end versus embedded, that's
I do
me.
too.
Okay.
Because
cool.
it's easier to reference. And I like bullets because it's concise and you don't have to try to read through the points.
So far we have the agenda items as like the chapters, the bullet points underneath those that summarize anything we discussed regarding those, and then kind of the action items or the things we agreed to, the roles at the end.
I bet if you asked AI and put in what you're looking for, you'd probably get a beautiful template that you
I
could
totally
work
could.
with.
I'm more than happy to do that.
I just meant you in general. I wasn't saying you. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
we,
yeah.
The
No,
collective
totally.
you or the collective we.
I mean, I just agree to it because I have a lot of experience with it at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty comfortable with
Okay.
it. So we could totally do that. Is there anything else we need to really add to it structure-wise?
Yeah, we need to have attendance,
Okay.
what time.
And the time it started
yep.
and ended.
Yeah, that'll all sit in the header probably
Yeah.
right under the title.
Yeah. And so that would be like attendance is who is here and then also who is missing.
Okay.
And then
Start
votes.
and end time.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
when there's a vote, who made the motion, who seconded, and what the result was.
Okay, cool.
For the votes, we just need to know if it passed or didn't pass, right? Or are we
Yes.
concerned about
unless
majority or?
We generally don't have things where we need
Yeah.
to have that. Occasionally, select board will do a call vote, and where each person has to say what they want, and they recorded it that way.
Right.
I actually think that recently happened. But for us, it's really if it's passed or didn't pass. Sometimes I write passed unanimously just to be like, yep, we're all on the same page.
Okay, so we've got the title meeting minutes, which is going to have the date in it. and the name of our commission, and then we've got the attendance, and what else did you say?
Time.
Oh yeah, the time,
Starting in,
start and ends time. Does the location matter if we say virtual, hybrid, or Toomey or anything?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty similar to the header of our agenda then?
Yeah, actually, you could even just take that and then, at the part where it lists us all, you can just break it out into present and
yeah.
absent.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And this would have the location.
All right. So who's kind of writing down this structure for us? Are you
I
writing it down, Laura?
am. I have it.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm just slow on getting them to you, so
That's
I'll
okay.
try to do it faster this time.
No, that's simple. Okay, so we kind of have a structure. Do we need to add anything else to it? Lauren, do you have any thoughts? No? Okay. All right, so if we kind of have that, do we even need to vote on it, or?
I don't think so. I'm
Okay.
like, this isn't really it's more procedural.
Right, it's more, yeah, logistics and stuff.
Do we want to perhaps add one more element to that topic, which is to think about what this means perhaps for our next meeting? Would at the next meeting then we would not necessarily have a template ready for someone to use, but we would be voting on that template? Or would you send that out to us in the interim?
I could probably just send it out.
I mean, I know we
I can't
can't,
imagine we're gonna
we
like.
can't all look at it at the same time, but
Yeah, I mean,
we
we
could give you feedback.
kind of nailed down the format. I don't think it's gonna like be that wildly different from what we said that we need to even vote on it probably, but I'll send it out anyway. And is it something that we want to like print out so that you can write into it while we're while we're having the meeting, or just like we take general notes and then that's just like what we plug the information into at the end? It lives as a purely digital document.
here I go again. I have lots to say.
Yeah,
So
yeah, go
just
for
let
it.
me jump in if you disagree. But I guess I was thinking it would be great if it was digital, so we could just maybe pull up the template and perhaps type into
Totally.
it.
Yep, that's also, yeah, we totally
But that,
do
I guess that would assume that whoever's taking notes wants to do it on a laptop.
Right.
It just
no,
would
like-
allow for different amounts of volume
Yeah.
in each section, depending on the content.
I mean, if you didn't want to bring your laptop, you could just write it down and then when you get home, like, fill in the document with the notes you took on paper,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, sound good to everyone?
Yeah.
Anything else, any other thoughts? All right,
If we are rotating, I'm going to have to bow out. That's
Okay.
just not something that
Yeah,
will
that's
go
fine.
easily for me on any level.
Yeah, no,
No
that's totally
worries.
fine.
We're here for you.
Yep, we got you back.
hell yeah. All right, so I guess moving on then. This would be public comment, but we still don't have anyone here from the public. So, Christy, you are up.
Yes. So I had just brought to JD's attention when we were talking about the agenda that July is Disability Pride Month. And last year, when we got really close to July, we started talking about it, but it really was a little too close for us to do anything. And so I just wanted to bring it up and see if there was something that we wanted to do, either making, backing up a little bit. I met with Jen Breaker a couple months ago to talk about just kind of general Accessibility Commission issues. And one of them was, how do we get word out to the public about things? And she said if we had things that we got into an Instagram or Facebook size, we could give them to her ahead of time and she can find places to put them in the schedule. So if we had something about Disability Pride Month that we wanted to share, it even could be a couple of slides, especially for social medias that have like multiple slides in one post. We could create it, approve it at our next meeting or even the meeting after and get it to her with plenty of time so that she can find a day in the schedule to get it in there. Because I think that would be really great,
Yeah.
especially as a way to, again, get out to the public that we exist. Anytime it people find out that we exist, they are like, oh, I didn't even know. So, yeah,
Oh, hey, Neil.
Hello, I am faculty late, I apologize.
That's all right.
okay.
Or rudely late, however you want to interpret it. Where do I sit?
I guess,
Having public sit it on the
Okay.
seats back there.
Yeah. so sorry, that threw me off. We were
It's okay,
just talking about the
disability
pride
pride,
post.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, so, I guess we can kind of figure out what we want that to look like. Like, I guess we didn't really exist before, so I doubt they were making pride posts. Yeah, I mean, does anybody have any thoughts? I mean, I'm happy to workshop something. So I've got like a background in that.
I was just thinking, like, as we were talking about this, I think one of the things that jumps out to me is maybe, like by the metrics type situation, like demographic information for people in town, maybe just even, you know, a couple different things, maybe one highlighting the commission and just, you know, that pride piece in general, but then maybe, like a by the numbers type thing, where we look
Okay.
at that, because I think we
Yeah, that's a
know
great
that
idea.
stuff, but it's not necessarily something that the community at large knows.
Totally.
Which would be a nice standalone.
Yeah, because like the percentages, like what's our population looking like? Maybe one about like the schools too, and yeah, just our commission. I guess we could probably share like our mission statement, something like that. And do we want to do just one post, or maybe each of these is a separate post to kind of carry the momentum a little bit?
I think
or-
a separate post just gets
Yeah,
more visibility
definitely.
versus putting it all in one and then it gets lost.
I agree.
100%.
Yeah, I think that we probably could give Jen a bunch of stuff and say, please fit this in wherever you can, and she
Cool.
would, you know, even like, you know, spread it out throughout the month too.
Yeah, that's a good
Depending
idea.
on, you know, if there isn't a lot going on, then fill it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Along the lines of what you were saying, I guess what just occurred to me that people might find interesting and eye-catching is trivia, if you will. Like
Okay.
when the first gay marriage occurred, or when the first pride flag was raised, or,
Yeah.
you know, just trivia like that as well. Might be a separate slide.
Wait, are we talking
We're
disability?
talking about two
Disability.
different types.
Disability pride.
pride, right?
So disability
Oh.
pride
Oh,
about
sorry.
disability.
Right.
Excuse
So,
me.
that's okay.
Pride.
Yeah, that's why when it was on the, I got confused too, and it was
got
my
confused
agenda
when
item.
you first said it to
Yeah.
me also,
I was
then
totally
realized-
confused.
Yeah.
Okay, so purely disability.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
disability
sure.
pride. The disability pride month is July.
Okay, got it.
We need a flag.
I think there might be a flag, but,
Maybe someone.
yeah.
Okay.
But trivia, I think, is a great idea. I had some for one of the, I think when we went to Celebracion and had a table, I had trivia of the intersection between Latinx community, Hispanic community, and disability. And so I have some of that somewhere too.
I wonder if the timing would be appropriate to use one of these posts to get the word out about Crip Camp or whatever film we'll be showing.
Yeah, depending on when we figure it out to.
Because I know that we're thinking that might not be till fall, right? But
Yeah,
but if
but we
it's
could
till
start
July,
talking about
maybe-
it.
Until school next year,
Yeah.
because like they're on vacation this week, they've been a pain to get a hold of.
Sure.
Um,
Maybe that's the wrong time, but I don't know if we would want to consider that.
No, we totally could. Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt for us to have one ready to go anyway. I could whip something up for that easily, and it would take no time.
Do we get the sense that there's openness, Christy, to not just during this month, but if there are other opportunities for us?
Yes.
For the town to amplify kind of the work that we're
Yes,
doing?
yeah, so when I asked about, you know, how do we communicate with the public, but beyond our meetings, obviously, Jen said that, you know, she's happy to take stuff and, especially, you know, if it's just for a dated time event and it has like a deadline, to do that sooner rather than later, and she can fit it into the schedule, because there are a lot of departments using the same social media channel. But then other things that are like informational and don't have specific dates, she said we can just send them and she'll pop them in wherever, any time of year.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, with that, do we each want to kind of like come up with a little post and we can kind of show them off, or?
Or at least the content, I think some
Yeah.
of us might be better at
Content creation.
creation than others.
Yeah, I mean, like if we, like you don't have to create the actual post, like I'm happy to kind of digitize some of our ideas, but if we just have some thoughts and kind of like write them down and present them. Just so I'm not putting you all on the spot right now. You know, maybe like, and it doesn't have to be like a list of facts, you know, it could just be like one fact or like 2 or 3. But I wouldn't go beyond that. And then, yeah, if there's any events we want to draw attention to, or what was one of the other ones you said?
How specific do you think we should be in regard to the disability? Are we looking at it just as a global sense? Or, for example, me personally, I could do one in referencing how blindness is a spectrum
I think
and the
that's-
different facts.
I think
Yeah.
it's all
around
fair
that.
game, honestly.
I think that's fantastic.
So I will certainly do
Yeah.
that.
Sometimes some of the more niche things are more interesting because they're more
So,
specific.
And being, you know, a resident, you know,
Yeah.
just to bring awareness for myself even.
Absolutely.
In some ways it's a selfish thing, but it's important.
It's not selfish if it ends up helping
No.
someone else
Right,
anyway.
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Or it educates other people.
Yeah.
It's not selfish.
Excuse me?
Oh, hey, what's up?
One of the reasons I wanted to come is this is the area I have a decent social media following, and I'm happy to promote, be your person if you want a social media guy.
Okay.
I have like almost 60,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah, we can send something for you to post as well.
Okay.
Just make sure you reference and label and tag.
Reference, label, tag, and everything gets approved
Yeah.
before I post it, I know the drill.
So yeah, I mean, I think, will you give me your contact info so that you and I can get in touch?
You can have whatever you want, you can get whatever you want from the lady seated to your right,
Okay.
I think, which has all my stuff, I think, at this point.
Karen?
Yes, Ms. Craig?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You have my contact information, right?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right, so yeah, you'll hear from me, Neil, because
Okay.
I've got a couple questions for you also.
any way I can help, I want to help.
Awesome.
Okay, cool.
Sorry about having the chairs back there. We didn't get to do
I
this
know.
today.
It's okay.
You're at the little kids table.
Yeah.
Have a public participation, because I did want to mention.
Yeah, we
Okay,
could
cool.
probably
So,
go back
sorry.
and do public
Yeah.
comment again.
Yeah, so,
Sorry.
Oh, no, don't be sorry.
yeah, well, once we finish the Pride post, then
We're
we'll
super
go right
chill.
back to public comment. So, anything else we want to kind of talk about with the Pride post? Or are we good on that for right now? I know we've got a couple thoughts in the pipeline that we
Yeah.
can kind of like work on, and you can send them to me so that I can see if like any of us are overlapping on anything.
Yeah. No, I didn't have anything else.
Cool. All right, let's turn back to public comment then.
Yeah.
You're up, Neil.
Am I on camera, or
So
can I move?
we'll need you at the microphone.
Yeah, so we have a podium right here.
Wow, this is formal.
It's
Good
for
Lord.
accessibility reasons, so we can hear you.
Don't be scared.
So, oh God, no, I wish I were. No, I'm about to leave here and go host karaoke, for 2 hours, so.
Oh, nice.
No, I am no longer in Danvers. I am, however, a product of Danvers. I was broken in the 70s before they knew what the hell broken was. If you ever stopped and looked at your special education laws, my name's in 4 of them. Because we had to kick down the doors and build the walls to get in the system.
Nice.
I wanted to I am currently associated with this, trying to get involved more with this in whatever fashion you will allow me. I am on the Mass Autism Commission. I have a seat on the PBD board, I have a seat on the Salem board, and I have a seat on I'm in the process of starting my own nonprofit. And my own nonprofit is going to be focused on, if they will let me, the Danvers school system and helping them make things better. I am very impassioned about this issue. I am very impassioned about Danvers, although I no longer live here. I went to the Smith School from 1976 to 1982, and they moved all of the different kids in this wonderful little box called the Resource Room. Because I was undiagnosed in 1979, I spent 73 hours locked in a closet at the Smith School because they thought I was being willfully whatever. So now as an adult who can do this and who knows who I am and who knows what others like me who can't do this are, I want to be a voice and I want to help you guys in whatever I can. I am very good at this. I am very good with social media. I'm very good at raising money. I want to help you in whatever way that you will allow me to, as somebody who was a product of this system and who one day accidentally got you guys on the national news because I was disabled, which was kind of ironic and funny and weird. I got stuck at Costco once, and I got stuck walking. I was walking down Costco holding a little flatbed behind me on Route 1.
Oh,
Which I now know is illegal, amongst other things. So however you will allow me to help you, I want to help you. This is
Thank you.
in passion. It's a beautiful thing that they have this space now.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
No,
But-
like I said, I'm gonna go host karaoke.
But I do have a show that I do here on public broadcast called Seen and Heard
Yes.
that we're going to talk about. But I interview all different kinds of people with different disabilities.
I would be honored.
So I would love to have you on there, and I'd love it if you'd want to talk about this
Of course.
nonprofit. We could do 2 episodes too.
Okay, whatever you want, however I can be of help. I don't.
Yeah, I think people would love to hear your story also.
I want people like me to have a voice, and I want kids like me to not have to walk through the hell I went through
Hell yeah.
in this town. I love this town dearly. You have some people in this town that are utterly fascinating, however.
It's a good way of putting it.
Honestly fascinating me. I just did my family tree. We are a 7th generation Danvers family. My father was one of 8 that grew up on Liberty Street,
Oh, wow.
back when there was a working farm on Liberty Street. So
Oh, wow.
Danvers and I go way back.
All right, awesome.
So I didn't mean to crash your meeting. I appreciate
no.
No, that was great. That's exactly what we want from public
Thank
comment.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
So I'll reach out to you from the info I get from Karen, okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so next on the agenda, oh yeah, children's book. So I have a nephew who's coming from London to visit, and so I had this idea to write a children's book about him meeting his uncle who's in a wheelchair for the first time when he comes over to America. And so I wrote it, and I have it being illustrated right now. And while I was doing that, I had this idea for, you know, we all grew up with books that maybe were like alphabet books, like A through Z, and it would be like an animal on each page or something.
ABCs of autism.
It wouldn't necessarily be ABC, but it would be, each page would be a different like assistive device or mobility aid. With and it would be like an early reader's version, so it would be mostly illustration and then like 2 rhyming lines. Like, I'm trying to remember one. There's one that I always remember. It was like Timmy taps his white cane on the floor, tapping out a rhythm to help him find the door. Like that would be like one page showing him with like a visual impairment mobility device, and like we do a bunch of those, and I don't know if you guys had any thoughts or wanted to be involved in that, but I was thinking of doing 2 versions, one that's like an early reader's version like that, and one where it's more organized and each page is maybe a paragraph, not rhyming, that for kids that can read at that point, to kind of learn about their classmates and stuff like that.
I think that's
I
cool.
love that.
I love
Yeah.
The AAC ABCs.
Yeah. We could go in that format as well. We could do it like alphabetically. I just know there's not something for every letter of the alphabet.
Oh,
Maybe there is.
I think you'd be surprised.
There might be. Okay, yeah. We
Like,
get real niche though. I
You
bet.
get a little creative
Yeah.
with,
It's just,
might be a little reaching on some of them,
Yeah.
but
my phone's
the photos would allude to the meaning.
Cool. But I just kind of wanted to bring that up and throw it out there. I started working on like some of the rhyme schemes for the early readers version. I have like a list of mobility aids, so I could share that with all of you, and you guys could fill in kind of the blanks where I've missed something or whatever.
Yeah. My daughter and I are going to the Assistive Technology Library on the 1st.
Oh, nice.
We had a scheduling challenge. But yeah, so I can keep an eye out for things that we don't know about or that
Oh,
are,
the
I think
fair.
are really
Cool.
cool.
No.
The
You guys-
Assistive
yeah,
Tech Fair?
Yeah. Well, no, we're
Not
not
the
going to the
fair,
fair.
they're
We're
going in
we're meeting
for-
with Jeff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've been trying to get her to not agree, but like to find a time in the schedule that
Yeah,
worked.
good.
So
Yeah, because the assistant tech is next week.
Yes.
it is, yeah. I'm gonna try to get there for that too. It's just a scheduling challenge, but that's, I mean, working with Northeast Arc could be a great way of
Oh, yeah.
getting additional device technologies.
You know if there's a template from the one that you did? You know if there's a template around?
But, sorry, that threw me off. Yeah, so I'll kind of send out what I have right now. I do have a list because I did do a lot of research. And I'll send those out and you guys kind of give me notes or if you want to add some stuff, and then we could talk about it more in depth at the next meeting with the actual materials.
And once it comes to full fruition, that would be a great thing to share on social
Yeah.
Yeah,
media.
And have
Yeah.
in the library.
yeah, libraries,
Yeah.
schools, yeah.
Well, and if, depending on how you want to go about publishing, I have resources, or at least like names of
Okay.
agents and publishers.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about like physical publishing.
It's
I have an
it's a
illustrator.
thing.
What?
I have an illustrator.
Oh, you do? Okay.
If you need a liaison to the ARC, it's another board I sit on.
Oh,
We-
okay, cool.
So.
We
You
have
have two
a couple
employees
too.
here.
Yes,
I
yeah.
didn't know
Thank
that.
you.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you.
We love the ARC. We're
Yeah.
biased.
All right, so I guess that's kind of that for the children's book for now. I'll be sending those out. So moving on, we have the crosswalk mural update. I don't know if you have really anything to update us on.
I do, right after I heard from you. So the meeting has been set. It is next Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
It is going to be virtual. I don't know exactly who's going to be in attendance, but it is the planning meeting for the crosswalk, and I have been given the Zoom link.
Oh, nice.
So I would assume if anyone else wants to also attend, I would assume I'm free to give that out. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday, I believe 12:30. I can get the exact, actually I can look it up right now. And this is why I was looking back at the minutes. I did find out, let me backtrack my thoughts. We had said that, what if several designs were submitted for the crosswalk, but only one was chosen? Would we be able to offer some options around town, and what were the rules about posting signs and murals? So I didn't make copies of this because I didn't know that was needed, but I'm happy to do that if people want it. I did actually go speak to zoning, who is the people who are in charge of this, and this is a copy of the rules about wall murals, and it is allowed in town. We are fortunately not one of the towns that doesn't permit it, but it does have to be in the downtown zone. So these are the dimensions and the requirements and things like that. So that's something we could certainly bring to Mr. Surratt. He has, I think, must have been very, very busy. I have sent him a couple emails and haven't heard back from him. I most recently emailed him just saying, I sent you this email with all the questions that we had in mind. The meeting is now set. If you have anything to add to these questions, please let me know, because I would want to make sure that any questions he has, particularly that we haven't thought of, that we try to get those answered at the meeting. So things are moving.
Yay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
It's
if you could
amazing.
share the link, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
See
totally.
if I
I
can.
Yeah.
I might
I'll send
be
it
able
to
go.
you,
Yeah.
I guess. It's probably the
Yeah.
best thing to do.
Yeah, and then I'll just share it with everyone. Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
I unfortunately can't come, but I would love to.
I don't know if I can either. I'll check.
That's where my staff meeting is.
Yeah, because that would be great.
Sorry, it's Tuesday at 1:30. So it's
Oh, okay.
Tuesday, April 29th at 1:30.
That might be doable. I don't know.
And who will be in attendance here?
Someone named Josh Morris, Stephen King, Aaron Henry, Rob Deaver, Brian, I'm not sure if I'll pronounce his last name correctly, Brian Zekeli, Henry Clark, and Josh Trierchis.
No, it's a Teams meeting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a Microsoft Teams meeting. Yeah, exactly. Let me see if I can get to his first email. I might be able to give you a little bit more. Sorry, I'm not more prepared with.
No, this is very
Information.
exciting.
with town staff and the consultant, with the name of the consultant is VHB.
Amazing.
Cool. So,
Cool. So, and what did they say would kind of be the main point of discussion at this meeting?
they did not offer
They
that
didn't? Oh.
information.
Okay. So we don't know how far along they are, or any kind of timeline details at all yet?
No, we do not.
Okay.
I guess I'm contemplating, and actually I'd like your input if we have time. Do we think it would be worthwhile for me to send our questions ahead to them? Or I was thinking, I guess more, maybe I would just sit in on the meeting and listen for this first one, and I could always send them as a follow-up.
I mean, I feel like it can't hurt to send them the questions, then we're being kind of transparent, and they know, what our interests are right from the beginning.
Okay, I'll do that.
We have the Zoom link at this point, so they can't revoke it.
True.
Or maybe they can.
They could change it. Okay.
Change the password.
They might also be able to tell you, okay, yes, we're gonna address this question, but
Right.
not these questions.
Okay.
So it might be good.
Maybe it'll help guide the meeting.
It's very exciting.
Cool. Any other thoughts or additions to Crosswalk Mural?
Just want to thank you so much for all the hard work that you've done
Yeah,
on
thank you,
this.
Fawn.
Oh,
Absolutely.
'Cause I know
You're
it's
welcome.
been a lot.
It's a lot of emails, that's about it.
Yeah, a
And
lot of
that's
emails.
easy, so no worries. I'm excited about it.
All right, moving right along, we have the Seen and Heard update. So I guess you kind of saw I asked Neil to be on the next episode. We'll touch base about that. I recently just did an episode with Gardner Trask talking about accessibility in the town and kind of like how he sees accessibility and what could potentially be like things that could be bettered in the town as far as accessibility is concerned. So I'm kind of posting some clips from that right now. We talked about communication boards. We talked about the affordable housing and how some of those will be dedicated for like any kind of disabled living, whether that means first floor, grab bars, all the bells and whistles. And what else did we talk about? Gave some props to the disability or the Accessibility Commission. But yeah, I'm still putting out clips from that, and I think it went well. So I think it was kind of nice to. I was kind of a little nervous, and I wasn't sure how it would go, just because it was my first time talking with someone where it's like we're talking about something outside of both of us rather than something like vulnerable and internal. So it was just a little different for me, but I think it went pretty well, and we were able to kind of like discuss that because it's kind of like a unique discussion, especially in this place where we've got a lot of history in old buildings, and how do you retrofit some of these? Are you even able to retrofit some of these? And what that means, and like what's worth us holding on to as a town, and what's worth just letting it go and upgrading it to make it more accessible. So that's available to watch. I'm going to be putting clips out from that, but those are discussions I think I'm kind of more open to having as well now too. So if any of you ever come across anyone that works in the accessibility space and is interested in proposing some kind of concept or just speaking about it, I'm happy to have them on the show.
I thought it was awesome. So what I saw of the
Cool.
interview.
Yeah, it was the first time too where I had to like pause in the middle and kind of be like, okay, where are we? What questions do I have left to ask? Because normally it's much more of just like a conversation about like themselves, and it's easier to talk about that because you're not trying to remember facts and stuff like that.
But it flowed really well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Any comments or any other thoughts on that at all? All right. Moving on is the film festival update, which I don't really have an update for right now. I tried to set a meeting with Peter and I can't think of her name, the media teacher over there, but they could only meet one day, and it was the only day I couldn't meet with them, and I tried like every other day, and then they've been on vacation this week, so I haven't been able to reach them. So I'm gonna work on getting that meeting done with them, so that we actually have much more of a concrete idea about the festival right now, because all we really have right now is my proposal and them saying they wanna do it. I haven't even been in contact with the media teacher yet. I emailed her, but she doesn't respond to the emails, it's just Peter. So hopefully I'll have more of an update on that on the next meeting. But does anybody have any thoughts or anything to add about that? How are you doing on time?
I'm good. I was just gonna say, if we had new business, I would ask somebody else to just take over for new business and let me know what time the meeting ends. If I can
Cool.
sneak out in like 2 minutes.
Cool. Well, I guess with that, we're moving on to new business. If,
I didn't mean you had to move to the.
well, I mean,
Just
no,
say-
I mean, we're kind of done with that.
Yeah, okay.
Unless someone had anything else to ask, I don't have much of an update. All right, new business it is. What do we got? Any new business?
I have something.
Yeah.
So I was scrolling as I scrolled today, and I came across a post from one of our neighboring kind of Department of Public Health cities in town, and they posted from the Regional Youth Prevention Network. It says that they're excited for their upcoming Youth Mental Health First Aid Training Bonanza in May in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, which is in May. It's free, and it says get certified in youth mental health first aid. This kind of caught my attention because we've done something at work for adults recently that I got really positive feedback about. So this says there's multiple locations where these trainings are going to be offered. It looks like it's pretty much the whole Cape Ann area. Danvers will be hosting one on Thursday, May 29th, and Friday, May 30th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. each day at the Danvers Police Department. And they say who should attend this would be teachers, school staff, coaches, camp counselors, youth group leaders, parents, anyone who works with youth. It's a no-cost training to learn how to support teens experiencing a mental health challenge, including a 5-step action plan to get them connected to ongoing resources. It also gives some facts. It says 1 in 5 teens and young adults, lives with a mental health clinician. It looks like there will be trainings in Gloucester at the beginning of the month. Ipswich is hosting one, Manchester is hosting one, Essex, Rockport, Beverly, and then Danvers is closing it out with 2 dates, which I thought was really great. It's no cost. There's a QR code and a place to sign up. So seemed really cool.
So along those same lines, we have a grant from RQS on first aid mental health training for adults. And I actually got to sit through the first one that we did. It was amazing. We're going to be opening it up to the public. So I'm just waiting for the flyers, and it's a great opportunity to get a day's worth of training on how to recognize folks in crisis and sort of the strategies to help work them through. So I will share those flyers once they're completed.
Yeah, if you want to send them to me, and Amy, if you want to send me that post, I can share it with everyone, so we have the dates and times.
I just wanted to say that I went through youth for mental health first aid training a number of years ago. It's fantastic, and I highly recommend it to anybody who knows anybody who's young, or even not young.
So the one we're
Yeah,
doing
yours
is
is adult.
geared towards adults.
That's fantastic.
That's what we got certified in. So go, but yeah. So I will share
Thanks,
that
Christy.
because if you are interested yourself or know, we're trying to get it out to community organizations who work with adults, as well as a lot of our employees are going through it. But it was very meaningful, very meaningful.
Awesome. Yeah, I would definitely be interested. I mean, that's kind of something we've been covering at the Danvers Cares meetings. A little bit too mostly youth focused. And right now I'm actually doing those kind of youth risk behavioral survey videos, which are going to become shareable, which kind of gives people some of the data which would maybe prompt them to want to do something like that, because they see kind of the numbers are a little scary, especially with some of the teen suicide rates. So yeah, I think that's great. So yeah, definitely send those my way. I'll send them out to everybody.
I will.
And I can post about it even on the Seen and Heard.
I think it's just a really great, people don't often think about mental health and how disabling that can be and how that really is a cross-section of disability, and so.
Yeah, it's an
I saw it
invisible
and I
one.
said, perfect.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing more and more leaves at work, mental health related leaves, more than we've seen in a number of years.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see if we could like look back at data to be like, okay, when we have more mental health leaves like this, like, do the employees stay on longer? Like, are they able to have a longer career? Like, because they take time for themselves now and they feel more comfortable doing that, and they're able to kind of serve the population better because they're not just ticking a box. I mean, I see this a lot with senior care. So one of my PCAs works in senior care as well, and we're always talking about this. It's like kind of just how, you know, you grow up, you go to school, you hear about like, oh, you want to go to a school where there's less students in the classroom so that you get proper attention from the teacher. And this is like that multiplied, where it's like you've got one nurse who has to get through like 30 people in a certain amount of time, and it's like you could spend a lot of time taking really good care of the first couple of people, but then you totally miss like 10 people and they don't get anything at all. Or you kind of just do a crap job on all of them, and they all, or like what you can on all of them, and they all kind of get like a little bit of it, but it's not really great either. Like, you know, why don't we value like not necessarily end of life care, but like elder care more in our society, since we're all planning on ending up there at some point? You know, like, why isn't that where a lot of money ends up going, if that's kind of like, you know, a guarantee for a lot of us, you know? And it's like, I don't know, like, wouldn't you want to make it seem like a heaven almost before heaven? Like, so why wouldn't we want to, like, you know, subsidize a lot of that and stuff like that? But I don't know, I've just been thinking about that a lot lately because we've been talking about it a lot. But any other new business at all, or?
We
Wait,
can't
Lauren,
hear you.
Lauren,
Lauren, you must be muted.
I think you're muted, Lauren. Oh no, you weren't muted.
No, we can't hear you.
We can't
Oh, no.
hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
It's the volume on the TV, I think.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Oh,
Here, 1 sec, Lauren,
Hang in,
we got
Lauren.
you.
Lauren, hold on 1 sec.
looking for controls.
I do have the volume on, so.
Oh, do you?
Oh,
Yeah, because this will just make it echo in the room. I can try this. No, I have it on in there. Let me play with a few things real quick.
okay.
I have it on.
You don't have like a microphone plugged in, right, Lauren? No.
No.
We're all just gonna stare at your.
I know.
I'm trying to read her lips, actually, but she's
Type in the
too
chat.
far away.
Yeah,
yeah.
type in the chat.
Well, what you were saying, JD, about why don't we put more resources as a society for, say, elder care?
Yeah.
And I don't know, of course, I don't have the answer to that, but it makes me think about, I think in a previous meeting, someone was raising,
Sorry, all my settings are correct, so I'm not sure why.
Oh, okay.
That, I'm not really sure.
Can you just pull up the chat for us, Owen?
Yeah, I can do that. That's easy.
Cool.
someone was bringing up, like, trying to connect young people with older people. And I think the more we can have our elders viewed as the resource that they are, maybe
Yeah.
there would be more of an impetus to expend
Right,
resources for
a
that
lot
end of life.
Senior living now are also including like daycares.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that there is that interaction, and I think it keeps our elders younger.
Nice.
It's
But
great
I
for the
just-
kids, too.
Exactly, but I think
Yeah.
also like culturally, we haven't, certain cultures respect their elders, and so they do take care of them as they age, and they, you
Honor
know,
and revere.
Exactly, and I don't think our culture has been that way.
I think our culture has a lot of fear of mortality, too. So I feel like there's like an avoidance almost a little bit, like, oh, you know, out of sight, out of mind. Like I don't have to think about that. That's not going to be me. We're going to talk about the Danvers care.
I was just thinking about that too, Lauren. Actually, I just
Yeah.
pulled it up right now.
For the purposes of our recording, do we need to read the chat out loud?
I
Or
can
will that
read
be,
it out loud.
or will that be part of the,
So
I
Lauren
have
said
no
she.
idea what she said, so.
So
it'd be
here,
helpful.
I'll tell you right now. Lauren said she wanted to talk about the Danvers Cares meeting, which was in the May 7th Light the Night Purple event, as well as the mental health program at Essex Agricultural School.
So I have the Light the Night Purple event here, which is going to happen on May 7th. It says, according to the Town of Danvers Facebook page, or Instagram, whatever, says it's an inclusive event that brings the community together to celebrate recovery, promote health and healing, challenge stigma, and raise awareness about substance use prevention and treatment. At 6:30 p.m., people will gather at the Rotary Pavilion in downtown Danvers for resource tables, activities, and games. At 7 p.m., we'll walk through town together in solidarity. We'll return to the library gazebo by 7:30 p.m. and enjoy a few songs and impactful speeches. And at 8 p.m., we will light the night purple together. All are welcome to join us for this free event. Complimentary Light the Night Purple t-shirts will be given out while supplies last. Yeah.
Also, in regards to that, I know Whitney, they do have speaker, but if any of you know anyone who would be interested in speaking, they're always looking for more speakers. And then what's the mental health program at Essex Aggie? I don't remember that from the Danvers Cares meeting.
I'm trying to look it up. I don't
Yeah,
know anything
Lauren's
about it.
typing something for us
Yeah.
too. Thought the Essex Aggie program was very thorough for each grade. Oh, for their mental health program? So that's just something they have like standard at the school that each grade deals with? Or gets to go through?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember, but Lauren, if you have any more info on that and want to just like send it to me, I can email it out to everyone. Sweet. All right. Any other new business at all?
I was just thinking, as you were talking about the seniors and kind of situation, I saw in the Danvers Patch earlier this week that they're reopening at the senior center a new lunch option with the opening of the Stone Street Bistro. So it says the bistro is a revitalization of the Danvers Council on Aging Cafe program. It'll be initially dine-in only on Wednesdays and Fridays from 11:30 to 12:45, featuring a monthly rotating menu. And it came out of, if you remember, and I don't remember when it was, that the head of the senior center came out and they were
Yeah.
talking about their survey. There were 225 responses to their survey that generated in favor of kind of reintroducing this, so they're bringing it back, which I
Oh,
thought was a
cool.
really great way to build community and kind of building off of what we were just discussing.
Nice. Yeah, I mean it seemed like he was pretty open to like a lot of different things. So if any of us ever have anything we want to promote there or plan some kind of event there, it seemed like they were pretty open to it. Cool.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, it's 6:56 right now. If we have no new business, we could adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
All right. All in
Second
favor? And you can just raise your hand.
Hi.
All right. Aye. All right.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.